Hello, everybody. We're going to wait just a couple more minutes for a couple more people to trickle in, and then we're going to get started with our product management methodology class today. Alrighty, I think it's just about time to get started. So let's jump into it. Hello, and welcome to Project Management Methodologies. My name is Kaden, and I will be presenting today's class. I will be assisted by Nathan, who will be monitoring the chat and Q&A today. Some ground rules before we get started. Your mics have been muted on purpose. If you have program-related questions that you would like to ask, please do so in the chat, which can be accessed at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Your text will only be seen by panelists, not all attendees. The panelists are me and Nathan. Any inappropriate behavior will result in your removal from this virtual program. We will try to answer the questions as we go along, but there will be time for Q&A after the lesson is over. A recording of this class will be made available on the Plano Public Library YouTube channel as well. So today we're going to be exploring some different styles of project management. Please note that we are not project management professionals. I do not have my PMP, and this program is intended as a basic introduction. So let's get started. So in this presentation, we're going to explore various project management methodologies, as well as their pros and cons to help you choose the right one for your team. There's Agile, Waterfall, Kanban, Scrum, Scrumban, and then we're going to go over some different project management software as well. So the Agile philosophy is an overarching philosophy. It's not a set of tools or processes. It is an umbrella term for various incremental approaches to project management that focuses on customer collaboration, fast delivery, and continual improvement. It's an iterative approach to managing software and development projects that focuses on continuous releases and incorporating customer feedback in every iteration. Agile creates several incremental steps with regular feedback intervals. So like Scrum and Kanban, on the other hand, they're Agile methodologies. They are a part of the Agile umbrella. So it means it offers the specific tools and processes to implement Agile, and it exhibits many principal characteristics of Agile, including the capacity to adapt to changes and transparency across the team. So some pros and cons of Agile. Some pros are that it's highly adaptable. There are faster feedback cycles, and it's easier to identify problems early, as well as there being better visibility and accountability. The ability to adjust during each iteration promotes velocity and adaptability. And with today's customers and businesses requiring rapid responses and changes, Agile provides the flexibility to adjust and iterate during the development process. So Agile is best for those projects that require flexibility while still maintaining some structure, and for large projects that need to be split into smaller, more workable chunks. Now, there are some downsides. There is an organizational learning curve cost. So it takes quite a bit to teach your team how to use Agile. Paths and roles may not be as well defined in other approaches like the waterfall approach. The development team is limited to the work they have the capacity for, and it does require a lot of trust and truth telling or candor. It is The product owner's focus is to optimize the value of the team's output. The team relies on the product owner to prioritize the most important work first. So it's not good if the project cannot be split into smaller chunks, and it's not good for managers who have difficulty prioritizing the most important work first. On to our next method, waterfall. So the traditional approach to project management is also known as the waterfall method. It is a linear sequential approach to project management that requires each phase of a project to be completed before moving on to the next. So the progress will flow in one direction, like a waterfall. As you can see in the picture, you start off with the requirements. What do you need to get done first? You're going to do all your planning stages. Then, of course, is analysis. You're going to analyze what you can do. You're going to design the final product. You're going to build the final product, and then you're going to test it to make sure that it works. This can be adjusted based on what type of project you're doing. This is just a basic construction project that you would be using this example waterfall method for, but this is one example. Some pros and cons. So on the pro side, since everything is mapped out at the beginning, there's a lot of room for error if expectations don't match up with reality. And there's no going back to a previous stage once it's completed. So there's a predictable timeline, there's clear objectives and defined deliverables. So this is best for projects with well-defined requirements and very few unknowns. So you know exactly what you're going to get at the end, and it's not going to change no matter what. So the stakeholders know exactly what you want. Your project is going to remain consistent and predictable, and you're maybe working in a regulated industry that needs extensive project tracking or documentation. So really, the waterfall method doesn't leave a whole lot of room for unknown variables. And of course, leading into that is the cons, that it does not leave a lot of room for unknown variables. And there's also no going back to a previous stage once it's been completed. So say something goes wrong in your construction phase and you need to go back to planning. In the waterfall method, you cannot do that. So it's not the best for projects with ill-defined requirements and a lot of unknowns. If your project is liable to change, if you don't have a full picture of all the requirements before you start, or you need to do continuous testing or adapt to feedback during the process. The next one is the Kanban method. So the Kanban method is less of a methodology and more of an approach. It's a visual approach to project management. It uses a board with columns like you see on the screen to represent different stages of a project, allowing for better visualization of a project status at a glance. It's great for giving everyone an immediate visual overview where each piece of work stands at any given time. And as you can see in the picture, there are these limiting numbers. So you can limit the amount of items that are in progress, the amount of items that are gone to peer review, and the amount of items that are in test, which leads into our pros, where it can help focus on continuous delivery and helps you see where bottlenecks are forming. So it's great given, work in progress limits. These restrict the amount of tasks in play at any given time, meaning that you can only have a certain number of tasks in each column or on the board overall. So if you're looking for a great visual representation of your project's progress, you want an at-a-glance status updates, or you want to encourage using work in progress limits so your team can stay focused, I think Kanban would be a great solution for your team. On the other hand, there are some cons. It does have a lack of time frames. So the time frames are not listed for each phase. So the teams may miss deadlines or fall behind because those time frames are not listed on the board. Also, it can become outdated quickly, and an outdated Kanban board can lead to issues in the development process. It can also become visually overwhelming and disorganized. And if it becomes overcomplicated, because too many elements are placed on it, then it can lead to distress. Then there's also the fact that other methods and structures will need to be added, but there's no room on the board left for it. So this is not the best solution if your process is super complex and has a lot of stages that would not be readily placed on a board. And it's unsuitable for projects with a high degree of uncertainty and requires team discipline. Next is the Scrum method. So the Scrum method is an iterative approach to project management that emphasizes teamwork, collaboration, and constant reflection on progress and best practices. You can think of it more like a framework than an actual methodology. There are things such as formalized meetings, the daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint planning that help facilitate collaboration and transparency. And this method has clearly defined roles to help promote the clear communication and accountability. So with Scrum, work is split into short cycles known as sprints, which are these little circles over here. This allows for frequent status updates and project adjustments. Work is taken from the backlog for each sprint iteration. You can see that top purple, not purple, the top blue circle where it says product backlog. And the small teams are led by the Scrum Master for the duration of the sprint, after which they review their performance in a sprint retrospective and make any necessary changes before starting the next sprint. So you get the information from the product backlog, you plan it all out in the sprint planning meeting, which then feeds into the sprint backlog. You do the sprint for 1 to 4 weeks, you do a retrospective, and then you do the next sprint until the work is finished. Some pros. It is highly adaptable and flexible. It allows for clearly defined roles and responsibilities. There is a lot of transparency and visibility. It increases team accountability and can be very cost saving. So Scrum is best for complex projects with changing requirements and many unknowns. Also, if you're striving for continuous improvement, Scrum is probably a great option for you. As for the cons, it does require a very high level of planning and a high level of expertise. It also requires a high level of commitment from every team member to be on top of, taking care of what is they are involved in their sprints. And scope creep, that's a bit of a mouthful, can be more likely. And scope creep is just when you add additional features or functions of a new product, requirements, or work that is not authorized. So say your scope is you need to create a document that's 10 pages long, and you keep adding more and more features to that document until it's 30 pages long. That is scope creep. So it's not the best if you don't have the full commitment from the team in order to make it work. And it's not ideal for people who are idea men who want to change the scope constantly. And then there is the Scrum-Bond method. So the Scrum-Bond method combines the elements of Scrum and Kanban methodologies, taking advantages of the strengths of both. So the main benefit of Scrum-Bond takes the sprint outset from a traditional Scrum framework and pulls the backlog based on their capacity like they would in a Kanban framework. So using work in progress limits from Kanban during your sprint cycle from Scrum, you can keep a continuous flow while still incorporating project planning, reviews, and retrospectives as needed. So you can have one Kanban board for each sprint, essentially. Some pros are that it uses the best practices from each approach, and it's very easy to spot bottlenecks. So if you see something that a lot of work is being slowed down because all the work is being funneled through this one little bottleneck, it's very easy to spot. It also balances predictability and flexibility and promotes continuous improvement. So it is best for projects that require flexibility while still maintaining some structure, and large projects that need to be split into smaller, more workable chunks. Some of the cons is that it does require a lot of planning upfront. It is harder to implement than either Scrum or Kanban on its own, and can lead to confusion if the team is not implemented properly. So it is not the best if you do not have the full commitment from the team or the proper education to make sure that it works. And it's also really not good if you have a lot of micromanagers. So Scrumban only works if a team has some degree of control over their workload and or the items involved within it. So if you have someone who is very much like, yes, I need to focus on every little thing that this person is doing, it doesn't work out very well. Okay, now we're going to get into our project management software portion. So our first project management software that you can use is Jira. And before I do that, Nathan, do we have any Q&A or comments in the chat that I can catch up on before I move on?
Nothing yet, but if anyone has any comments or questions, just leave them in the chat and we'll answer them.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let's get into Jira. So Jira is a suite of agile work management solutions that powers collaboration across all teams from concept to customer, empowering you to do the best work together. Jira offers several products and deployment options that are purpose-built for software, IT, business, ops teams, and more. So Jira is free for up to 10 users, but then it has other pricing plans. So its standard pricing plan is $8.15 per person per month. And its premium one is $16 per person per month. And their enterprise one is billed annually, and it's for like those large scale enterprises. So let's take a look at what Jira looks like. So as you can see here, there's their board where you can see their to-do list, their in progress list, their in review list, and their done list. You can assign people to things, you can assign little icons to things. And the flexible Kanban boards help team visualize their workflow, limit work in progress, and maximize efficiency as a team. And you can use this interactive roadmap that is on the screen right now to try adding epics, mapping work items, dependencies, and releases on a timeline. Roadmaps keep your team and your stakeholder in sync. So you can see that they have the sprints mapped up here at the top. The months are at the very, very top to show the progress over time. And along the side is the different iterations of what they need to do. Okay, our next one is called Asana. Asana is free for up to 10 people. And then its starter package, which is the most basic, is $10.99 per user per month. And then its advanced package is $24.99 per user per month. So it has different workflows to suit different types of teams, such as marketing, operations, IT, products, and sales. And it emphasizes cross-team communication and accountability and visibility. So if we go back here, you can see all the different solutions that they offer. So you can make a timeline, you can set goals, you can sync to your desktop and mobile apps. And then this is what their board looks like, similar to what we saw in Jira, where you can see the weeks and then the months, and then all of the timelines that are taking place of what needs to get done. And then this is just showing the cross-team communication and accountability and visibility. So you can see who's assigned to what task and when that task is due by. And then our last software is called Trello. It is $0 for individuals or teams, but its standard package is $5 per user per month for small teams that need to manage work and scale collaboration. Its premium one is $10 per user per month for teams that need to track and visualize multiple projects in several ways, including boards, timelines, and calendars. And then its enterprise one for larger scale organizations is $17.50 per user per month, my bad. And that is for organizations that need to connect work across teams with more security and controls. So you can see the different features that Trello has to offer. You can see the automation and the integrations and the templates that they have. And then here is some other things that they offer. So they offer boards, as you can see on the screen, and Trello boards keep tasks organized and work moving forward. In a glance, you can see everything that you need to do to things that you have completed. You can make lists, the different stages of a task, which can start as simple as a to-do, doing or done, or you can build a workflow custom fit to your team's needs. And then, of course, there are cards. They represent tasks and ideas and hold all the information to get the job done. As you make progress, you can move cards across lists to show their status. And that is all that I have for you today. We have some extra information if you would like to learn more about project management. The Plano Public Library offers LinkedIn Learning and Udemy for free, and Nathan is going to drop those handouts in the chat on how you can access those through the Plano Public Library website. So if you go onto LinkedIn Learning, there are a few classes, some of them being Project Management Foundations, Project Management Simplified, and Project Management Choosing the Right Online Tool. And then Udemy, which is very similar to LinkedIn Learning, it just has some different content, has the Project Management course, Beginner to Project Manager, the Complete Project Management Fundamentals course plus certification, and Project Management Fundamentals. Also, if you're interested in learning how to get certified in project management, Udemy has a lot of great courses on how to pass those certification exams. And you can find out more about these certifications on pmi.org. That is projectmanagementinstitute.org. And then Atlassian is the website that Jira and Trello come from. They have a lot of good project management tools as well. All right, that's it for me. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, there hasn't been any questions in chat, but you can always reach out to your local Plano librarian if you have any questions later on, right?
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up and if nobody has any questions, but we have a few more minutes just in case anybody does. So,
Yeah,
oh,
we
I
might
see
have,
Janet might have a question in the chat.
yeah.
The link to Udemy is the same as the link to LinkedIn. Um, Let me check the handouts. It might just take you to the Plano Library website. In that case, you'll go from there to find the links. Let me open up my handouts here. Yeah, it'll take you to planolibrary.org, which then from there on the handouts, it'll tell you how to find each one. So you can access research and learn, click on the business and career icon, and then you can click on the LinkedIn Learning icon if you want to go to LinkedIn Learning, or you can click on the Udemy icon if you want to go to Udemy. So the links on the handouts are the same, but the links on the website are different. Does that make sense? So the Jira tool is not available through Plano Library, but it is free for, let me double check how many users. It is free for up to 10 users. If you want to pay for more users, it is going to be $18.15 per person per month. But we do not offer it for free through Plano. But it is free for up to 10 users. So if you wanted to use it for a small project with just 10 users, that would be available to you. Any other questions? Of course, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in learning more about project management, the library, like I said, offers free access to LinkedIn Learning and Udemy with the Plano Public Library card. If you want to share any feedback about today's program, please fill out our survey, which should appear in your browser after this program. This survey helps us curate future programs according to what you say you're interested in. So please help us out and let us know. If there aren't any questions or any more questions, thank you again and have a great rest of your day. All right. Okay, Nathan, I think you can end the meeting now.